Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to team meeting number 76. Today we have new faculty. We have a Bellington College updates. We have higher ed, inside higher ed piece, and we're going to be explaining why we're leaving Crowdcast. And I just want to say, the last week I was at WTHX, which is great, and I'm going to give you a little bit of info on that as well. Over to Rob.
All right, well, why don't we talk a little bit about changes that we're making in terms of some faculty onboarding. We're going to be, we've taken a look at the processes that we're doing to support new faculty as they come on board and also as they're developing their classes. And over the past several weeks, as you'll also hear in our, when you read our monthly update, we are changing the way we're doing that to have it be a much more hands-on approach, where we're going to be sending you guys a lot of emails to just check up with you, and also phone calls and meetings. Over the last 2 weeks, I've had a bunch of great, whether it's internet, phone call, or face-to-face meetings with faculty to help them with the development of classes, and also starting to take a look at how we learn more how to do the marketing to students, but also institutional sales. So be prepared for a lot more messages and a lot more phone calls from us as we make this transition. And it's quite a lot of fun. I had a great conversation with one faculty member who is a tenured professor at a university who does work, really important work in the area of social justice. And it's really amazing to see how much people are both producing in terms of online content, but also about how there are barriers to getting that out to as many people as possible because of sort of, sometimes institutional policies or the lack of technological and pedagogical support. So it's really interesting to sort of see talk more with our faculty and help them out as they develop more, more classes and do the outreach, which is what we're all about. Let me tell you a little bit about one of our partners, Burlington College. I've been in contact with one of their senior faculty members who's also in charge of vetting courses for us that they're going to be delivering just to their students. Again, what we would like is the more content we have, the better it is both for Burlington College, but also for other institutions that we're approaching. If I can go into meetings with senior faculty administrators and show them, the different courses that whether they're under development or whether they've already been produced. That really helps me sell this service to those institutions, which will then draw more students into the classes that you all are producing. One thing to really keep in mind and remember is that the deal of Oplerno taking $100 or 10% of whatever tuition the faculty member charges is always in force, and that's not going to be changing with our institutional affiliations. So it's really, really important to remember that we're looking out for the interests of our faculty in terms of their ownership of the content and the control of their content, academic freedom, and also you all getting paid a very good wage for what you do.
Yeah.
Okay. One last thing that I want to mention is that at oplerno.com/blog is where we're putting our woodblock interviews and different articles that we're posting. Last week, we posted a great interview with Sebastian Valenzuela, who's a professor at the University Católica in Chile. And it deals with higher education in Latin America and social networks, and is a really interesting take on what is happening in Latin America in higher ed, especially as online educational platforms start to gain some traction in those countries. One thing, though, that Mario Goren, who was another one of our interviewees from several weeks ago, he's living in Argentina, is the fact that all faculty should kind of be paying attention to the growing economic crisis that's happening with both world markets and also the foreign exchange markets. The strengthening of the dollar and the weakening of both the Brazilian currency and many currencies in Asia is creating a really big issue in terms of price differential, making college education much more expensive if they want to access that in the United States and also in Europe. And there are a couple of things that we're going to start playing with. We'll probably have a community meeting about it to discuss the ways in which we can help insulate students and faculty members from those types of currency devaluations. Now, granted, we don't have a huge student base right now, but it's really important to get those systems in place before we really start to gain traction. And it's also really important for us to talk about those things, being a global institution where we've got faculty and students who are accessing our network from anywhere on the planet. So we'll, I'll probably be giving a post on that in the next week or so, but we'll also have, probably a couple of community meetings about this. One thing, if you have any, I used to trade foreign exchange currency, so I know about those markets. If you have any interest in participating with us in terms of some brainstorming, etc., let us know. And you can email me at rskiff@oplerno.com. And, I'd be more than interested in seeing what your input is. Daniel found a really great article, and why don't we talk a little bit about the Inside Higher Ed article that came out just today?
Yeah, well, I mean, great is different, of course. I mean,
great meaning interesting. Yeah, it's not a great topic.
I think. On the whole, it's pretty dismal for some of the small colleges and universities because they say that the closure rates, or at least the article by Kelly Woodhouse says that the closure rates will probably triple in the coming years, and measures will double. And it's really, really bad, especially for the smaller colleges and universities. I see there's a lot of there could be a lot of loss for students, of course, but also a lot of loss for communities who actually need local colleges to be able to educate their local people.
Yeah, that is a huge issue. The being driven, as you know, in different parts of the country, you have in the different parts of the United States, you have demographic issues, like in the Northeast, the lowering of the student population. And you also have, I've been saying this for 4 or 5 years. I don't know how long the Federal Reserve is going to be able to keep interest rates so low before they have to start raising them. And what that means is that student loan debt is going to increase dramatically along with the cost of servicing that. And as we know, like you just said, small colleges are the engines of economic activity in their communities, and they need to be able to continue to attract and retain students. One of the ways in which they can do that is by dramatically increasing their catalog of courses and having some of those courses be hybrid or online classes, which is perfect for what Oplerno is offering. If any of these administrators are watching or listening to this blog post, you also really need to be careful that your content is different than those of other institutions. Oplerno is kind of Pearson's on steroids, or Pearson's with a professor. Pearson's is one of the largest publishing companies, textbook publishing companies, and they also offer a ton of content online. That content is really being used by all kinds of colleges. Arizona State University and Southern New Hampshire College being the two largest. But what that means is that they're kind of commoditizing all kinds of different classes, and the delivery of that content isn't customized by the faculty member, potentially for the students that are taking those classes. Whereas with Oplerno, you have a whole list of a whole catalog list of courses that you can take, that you can use at your institution, and we also supply the professor for that class, and you can examine the syllabus, the activities, the course content, and access it for at least the same cost, if not cheaper, when you consider what you're going to have to pay your faculty than what Pearson's offers. And the really great thing about it is that you're going to be paying the faculty who you're working with through Oplerno a really, really good wage. So it really incentivizes the best thing about education, which is the relationship between the teacher and student and teaching. So we'll post and retweet that higher ed article, and you can take a look at it. Really, really important that you also check out, again, oplerno.com/blog with woodblock, and check out those articles that we're posting also to our Medium. Daniel, can you go through a little bit of a list of the Medium aggregators that we're using?
Yeah, so I've been going across Medium and looking. Of course, there are lots of very interesting posts which you have on Medium, but we've been for the higher ed education revolution Medium publication. We've been collecting a combination of good tips and good advice for educators and for thought leaders. Some interesting pieces on developing course content to fit or developing course content with a certain theme. So they have was a piece on a summer course which was given at UC Berkeley recently, which was about hip hop. Really interesting. But actually teaching the course as if the whole course was hip hop. Really intensive, completely insane, of course, but I would say, but fantastic. I mean, great, insane. Some very interesting pieces on pieces by Oplerno, of course, and by our own very own Robert Skiff, and some things for graduates. So yes, let's see, we've got some student perspectives on the affordability of higher education and how it's what they think that current politics is going to be do for that. And also very interesting, we are a revolution. The title does have revolution in it of the publication. So we also have some people who have completely radical, far out ideas on improving college education. Some of which were probably too far out, and some of them are actually might just be. Even though they sound insane, they might just be plausible enough to actually be able to educate. So there's absolutely very, very interesting things that are going on there as well. Check it out. I'm going to put the link in the show notes that you can find on YouTube and of course on Slack.
Hey, can you tell us a little bit about WTHX?
Yes. Oh, yeah. No. So that was great. I was last Thursday. Oh, sorry. We've been in discussion. Well, we've been talking to some faculty members at the University of Amsterdam for some time. Also, I was invited. I think I mentioned it before the summer recess. I was invited to participate in one of the classes, and I helped in a hackathon in one of the classes as well. Well, they sent me an invitation to come to WTHX. I think it's what the X, or what the. I'm not sure, but what the X. It really interesting. It was basically the idea is to have a hackathon, whereby they take. So issues within peace and justice and security, things such as the current crisis or say so the current crisis that they're having with refugees coming into Europe at the moment. We have a large stream of refugees coming in because we of course have a war in Syria, and some small wars in I think it's Eritrea and Sudan. So we're getting quite a number of refugees, and the refugee stream has gone up in the summer. So there was a lot of discussion there on how we can, what are the things that people are getting that say the refugees are facing when they're coming into here. Of course, what are the things that we can actually use to help them to be able to enable themselves, so they can have, we can throw money at them, we can throw help at them, whatever we want, but we actually need to help enable people to be able to help themselves. That's one of the best ways to be able to for people to become self-sufficient. Also, whether it is we're speaking to an educator, or sorry, of somebody who does language translation, who's hiring Syrian refugees to do their language translation. They need Arabic language translation, or they need for news organizations. They have have somebody watch Arabic television all day, or Arabic news television, and do real-time translation of all the information that's going on there. Which of course they can't get that in the I think it was in Bulgaria where they live, which is of course fantastic. I mean, they have a great way to be able to help people without it being charity, because they can't get the local people to be local Arabic speakers, because there just aren't any, which is very good. Also, I think we've something similar we've been discussing with Oplerno as well, is to a lot of people who are currently coming over are also Arabic speakers, are also well-educated people with master's degrees. There are people with PhDs coming over. I mean, literally, a lot of society is breaking down there, so a lot of people are coming over because they don't have jobs, they don't have work. So we've been discussing a lot of that. A lot of that we were discussing there, but also talking about solutions. What are the things that we can actually give to people? How can we enable them? How can we teach them about what's the places that they can go, what they can get, what is possible. I spoke to one guy who was. He opened his phone. He said, "I can from the people that I know, I can tell you within 2 minutes, 3 minutes, where the best places are to go in Germany, for example, at the moment. Where the refugee centres which have the least amount of pressure on them." And so he flipped over his phone. He typed in something, and about 3 minutes later, 4 minutes later, he got an answer back. Today the best places to go are these and these two refugee centres in Germany. I mean, if you're in Germany, of course. So it's really, really fantastic what they're doing with crowdsourcing as well, and spreading that information. And really, I think it's everything that we've been trying to do with Oplerno for our faculty. A lot of these things are being implemented and used in humanitarian crises, and it's really, really amazing to see what's going on now.
Yeah, and there's a lot of talent. Syria has a huge population of, like you said, really, really well-educated individuals, especially in science and engineering. And it's really important for us to get those people back involved in doing what they've been trained with. Oplerno is one way. They can do it with teaching, but also, there's all kinds of different aggregators in terms of searching for employment on different networks. And, this has a potential to be a real benefit to the societies where these people are relocating, because they are a very smart group of individuals, and it also challenges our preconceived notions of what a refugee is, and that's really
yes, certainly.
That's really important, especially as different political groups try to take advantage of corresponding social chaos to further their own agenda and the stereotypes that sometimes are created.
Yeah, indeed. You know, and I think the from what I've been reading or what I heard also at WTHX, it was that this is one of the, in recent times, it's one of the largest outfluxes of middle and higher class people from from a country. I mean, usually, often refugees are associated with, say, people economic migrants, people who are coming to simply to better themselves and to escape an economic problem. So, I mean, you see that's also where these things are said in the United States for about other countries in South America, for example. But this is far less escaping poverty, saying, and this is far more escaping bombs. And so it's really and so and bombs are indiscriminate. Though it doesn't matter how much money you have, they will kill you.
Yep, and we've got to get involved politically to prevent the people who want to start these wars from being able to fund them. And that's as far politically as we'll get today at this morning meeting. But you all know, you all know what we're, you all know who we're talking about.
Yep.
Okay. So I think that is, we've mentioned about leaving Crowdcast.
Yep.
Yes.
So for next time, you know that we're having. We have all of our discussion on Slack. I also tweeted it out. So come onto Slack if you want to discuss, if you want to talk and live tweet chats with us. That's the best way. Yeah.
Great, and we're going to be posting this. We're also going to be posting this team meeting onto our Woodblock blog, and anything that we send out to everyone. So that that can be one place where you can get caught up on what is happening with Oplerno.
Yeah.
So listen, thank you all, unless we have any other announcements.
No, I don't think we have anything else. Let's
Okay.
double check. No.
So listen, thank you all very much for coming and listening to our team meeting. And we will see you online next week at the same time. And again, shoot us any kind of questions or comments to questions@oplerno.com, or you can always email me at rskiff@oplerno.com. And we'll talk with you later. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much. See you online. Remember to subscribe to our channel. Go to enroll.oplerno.com to see all our courses, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.